Hi everyone. It's another late podcast, at least late when I'm recording. I'm tired and um this is going to be more of a rant than anything else cuz I was really upset. Um yeah, pretty much over the past couple days between my last podcast and this podcast, I kind of affirmed that whole thing. And it's the dumbest shit that I don't know how many people will watch this video, but anybody that is apparently seemingly from just my interactions over the past couple of days and the the way that I see people get treated, and so yeah, I've been watching a lot of interviews and listening to the radio, people calling in, and audience participation type of situations. I went to Ross today and saw the guy getting trained, the security guy, and the manager came over and she was like, "Is he doing it right?" I can't count. I can't count the amount of times that those little comments have affected me, and how easy it is for people to change the conversation so that you subtly feel included. For example, right before I left the Ross, when I was at the cashier, this older lady came and talked to the younger lady cashier, and then I don't want to go into the whole ordeal, but then she kept narrating basically what that girl was doing, but as if she was just talking and making conversation, and that didn't seem to bother the girl. It bothered me, but I was just ignoring it, whatever. And then as soon as I walked away, she changed the conversation again, and it's you're still within ears hearing distance from me personally, but I know probably most people, either mentally they would already be away from that conversation, or they wouldn't be able to hear it from that distance. But I'm looking at all the other interactions, and I'm yeah, this caused a level of psychosis throughout my whole life, thinking that God might be sending people to talk to me, because also that was what was suggested to me in my younger years about religion, that God speaks through people and God sends messengers and blah blah blah, whatever. I don't care. But it's just really interesting that people think that's acceptable, because when I look at other mental health problems, they all seem to stem from the same thing that I'm not allowed to talk about. That people will just tell me I sound crazy or I don't make sense or blah blah blah, but it's because they just don't want me to say what I'm saying. It's really annoying, and in my opinion, people who think that way are just limiting themselves, and limiting what their brain could do. And so me as a person who my whole life I've just wanted to help humanity and like find ways to make anything and everything better, like just everything. Now I'm like, no, like genuinely fuck all of you. I don't want to help anybody, because I see that people like me get treated like shit and then everybody pretends like it's not happening. There are some people that stand up and they're like, oh, that don't say that like that, you shouldn't, don't say it like those, that's rude basically. um and but then I just reflect on how much disdain I feel coming from everybody when they interact with me. And well, I guess maybe genuinely not everybody, but like 99.99% of the people that I come across, it's like they're insulted by anything that I say. And others that are closer to me, they're like, well, I'm just not understanding what you're saying. Like, I get confused and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whose fault is that? I'm here petitioning, begging for everybody to stop thinking the ways that everyone's like, oh, we don't understand you. And like, I still genuinely don't understand, don't get, don't know if they're just lying. Like, just because they want me to speak like them. They want me to place the words in the correct syllables. They don't want me to backload into the last two syllables of a phrase, which is dumb as fuck. It's the most stupid way to think. I cannot genuinely, like, I whatever. But as a person who I just always wanted to, like, I think in high school I was like, yeah, I want to study biomechatronics, which is biology, mechanics, and electrical engineering. And to help people, like, to make prosthetic arms and body parts, and like to fix like neurodegenerative diseases with technology. And now I'm like, no, you all deserve it. I mean, the people who are like me, who are just victims and don't see what everybody else sees, I would do it for them, but they're not the ones running society. I would do it to help literally just anybody who is in my position, of like not understanding the speech thing. And yeah, like I've given it up to God, but also am angry because why would God put me in a reality where either I'm a complete dumbass and don't understand shit about anything that anyone is saying, or I'm right and like I know more and understand more than everybody else, and the reason why is because I'm choosing to not think like them. It's that simple. Like, I don't have a high IQ. So how could I be saying that I'm smarter than everybody else? But I'm like, I can safely 100% take every piece of everything away from me, leave me alone, and I can rebuild all of this society exactly how it is. Like, all the technology, all of the innovations, I can come up with them because they're that simple. That, like, something's not adding up. And if people want to just let me have that hope for myself, because if they take that hope away from me, then I don't have anything. And, that's evil. That's bad to take somebody's hope away. But genuinely, I don't think that's the case. It's not just a hope. I actually, like, understand and see things in a way that others don't, and that is superior. And I don't care if that makes me seem arrogant and like I have a big ego. I never have. My whole life, I never have. Up until I saw what the fuck intelligence is considered. And I'm like, you are literally all the ones causing every single problem that I've thought about that needs a solution. It's because of the stupid ass way that humans decided we should think this way. This is the only acceptable way to think. And if you don't think that way, you're going to get ostracized. You're going to get gaslit. You're going to get pretty much anything, because it's all fair to them. that just because it's an emotional conditioning and you're reacting to the categories that they're literally forcing on you, then I don't know. That's such an ugly way of living life that I don't want to participate in any of it. So whatever they're doing, it literally, to me, I'm just like, it's all trash. It's all trash. I don't understand. The only explanation that I can think of, genuinely, and I don't care how this makes me look. I don't care if this makes me look like the worst person on earth, that God put me on this planet to make everybody stop doing that stupid shit that has put me in the worst positions of all my life over other people's decisions about what system they want to force me to try to comply to. It's the dumbest shit. I can't get over it. Well, yeah. If you want me to pet you, don't walk away. Education. This is not my dog. Sorry, I love you, but I didn't educate her. Like, she understood me, but she has been trained by someone else to do different behavior, and I don't like it. It makes no sense, but the speech thing. So certain people talk a certain way to certain conscious entities, and they behave in a certain way because of it. So if it's all conditioning, why do I have to continue in that direction? I don't. God at least gave me that liberty, but it's like, I feel like God told me, like, okay, I'll put you in a nice environment, maybe not the best background, but I guess it kind of feels necessary, because I can imagine that if I was more comfortable and happier and like more complacent with everything, that I would just go along with it, and I also wouldn't come up with the ideas that I come up with. Yeah, because I've been through all of what I've been through, and I do believe in a higher version of God than above what people purport. But everybody's just convinced that if they can do the counting syllables thing in their head and place the words in the right place, that's God. That's the dumbest shit. I genuinely wish every illness onto anybody who does that. Like, I know I do it unintentionally, but I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that's like, is language even possible if you don't do that? Because everybody does it. And I'm just like, well, I find myself doing it, and I find myself doing it when I'm more serious, that I line up everything on four. But I'm just like, no, actually no, because that is what makes it difficult to think. That, like, I can tell that I'm doing something in those patterns right now, and it bugs me, because I never thought in words. My whole life is just like movies in my head, and now I have to focus on individual word syllables and then try to place them somewhere. How useless. How tiny. Like, that's such, like, it feels like such a tiny little spot versus everything else that I could just do. And then I have to believe that, well, if they genuinely believe that they're just going to let me be delusional because that's the only hope that I have, and blah blah blah, they're not even turning that argument around on themselves to say that this speech thing is the only thing that makes me feel worth anything, because I gave up everything else that my body knew in exchange for this. And I guess I don't blame them, because again, if I was in a different position, I don't know if I would even be having any problems with this whole system, because I do see the deterrence factors of, like, just the emotional outrage that gets triggered when people do that to you. It's like, well, no shit. Like, if I tortured you in a very tiny way your whole life, then you're gonna react to the things that conditioned that torture. It's not that hard to understand. What's hard to understand is why take it so far. So I'm abstaining from, like, okay, if everybody thinks I'm just a dumbass and like just talking out my ass about the things that I'm saying, like I could invent stuff and like build technology. Okay, they can think that. There most people are gonna think that, because of how unlikely what I'm saying is the case would be, like how unlikely that possibility is. What I consider myself one in like everybody that preceded me number. Like, I don't know how many humans have been alive, but probably like tens of billions maybe. So yeah, I consider myself to be one in tens of billions. Maybe even more than that. And that's really egotistical, and I don't expect that if I saw myself to be that intelligent for everyone to understand. I genuinely don't, but it still pisses me off that people talk to me so stupid as if I'm stupid, when I'm like, where's your knowledge? You don't have any knowledge. All you do is just put words in different places. There's no knowledge back there in that brain. Like, if you want to say that about me, you're lying to yourself, quite obviously. So I don't care where I place the words. Like, I lived the life that I live. I live my truth out. And if it comes out in my speech, I don't care. I genuinely don't. And if that bothers everybody, okay, don't interact with me. But the sucky part is that I have to participate in this society. Like, I have to take care of myself and do things in the world, and I don't have a choice other than to participate in social interactions. And in every single social interaction, almost, this shit pops up. And I'm like, it's the most annoying thing. You're trying to make me stupid. Everybody's trying to make me stupid. And I don't want it. So the wrinkle on my forehead has been going away. I've been working it out. How do I work out a wrinkle on my forehead? Wouldn't you like to know? I genuinely, it's like shape-shifting. If anybody wants to call me crazy, go ahead. I see the results. I know I'm not. But yeah, I'm not like, I'm genuinely like, I wanted to make technology to help everyone. And now they could just eat my fat dick. And I'm gonna post this. I really don't care. I'm so over it. I'm so over it. Like, I just get censored everywhere I go, no matter what I say. So what difference does it make if I'm vulgar or not? Genuinely. People are more happy if I'm vulgar, putting the words in the right place, than me not being vulgar and not putting the words in the right place. That might sound contradictory to them. It felt like it might have, because it felt too even. But I don't care. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm so beyond anything I can express about it. But yeah, I got to playing some Marvel Rivals, and more people talking shit, telling me that I'm lying about my credentials, and then I just count for them or like do something, and I'm like, I'm aware that you're doing that. I'm not stupid. Y'all are stupid for doing that in the first place. So yeah, I'm like in strict opposition right now to everything, and I don't want to contribute to anything. it makes me really sad. It makes me really actually sad inside that I cannot do the one thing that I wanted to do, which at this point in my life I pictured myself just focusing on like science and engineering, math. Like I never saw anything else in my future. But now that I don't want this world to continue, I don't want to give anything to it. I don't want anything that I do that is gonna help advance society. It's just gonna help advance the bullshit and the problems and the diseases. I would much rather God have given me that liberty and that right to decide that they don't deserve it and I'm not going to give it to them. And I'm so happy that my whole life I never did it because I just felt something was off. I'm just like, what is, like, I need to know, like in my head, I'm like, I just need to know how the world runs, how everything works together. And like, I couldn't connect it. Like, I couldn't connect the economy to manufacturing, to labor, to like education, to the arts, to science, like everything, just everything needed to connect. All the technology needed to make sense, and it didn't. So I'm like, what am I not understanding if I understand, um, like things well? Like, I just, what am I not understanding? Um, so, like 10 years of that after high school, I was like having a crisis. Like, I don't know what I want to do. I really like music. I really like philosophy. I really like math. I like science. Like, I can't realistically pursue all of these. And I focused like on music and singing for a while, but just like more like a hobby while I studied all the science and math stuff independently, because now it makes sense why I zoned out all the time at school. Now it makes sense why I literally deleted all of my memories of class time, because that's all they do. It's like just bullshit. No actual teaching, no actual information. Um so when I tied it all together, like, oh, it's all under the umbrella of counting 4 syllables and putting front loading the good stuff and back loading the bad stuff, and then like just keeping track. If you can't manage that, just like try to keep, or maybe if you can manage that, then move on to keeping track of a steady higher number. And then like there's so many ways that you could use that whole language thing, that people are literally doing like calculus in their head, yet the contribution that they do to society is continue the bullshit, continue getting people sick, continue giving people physical ailments, all under the guise of intelligence. And so I don't understand, if people could, I can't do calculus in my head. If people can do calculus in their head verbally, like I can show it on paper how people are doing math and calculus in their head with words and the meanings and the relationships between everything. You're just writing a formula in your head and then doing it. But I'm just like, I physically had to write that formula and calculate it based off of all of the inconsistencies in every field. So genuinely, I don't think anybody's on my level. And I shudder at the thought of like having kids and them being like that, and then seeing them grow into a disabled body and mind. So I don't have any hopes for like procreating and like having a legacy anymore. And it's crazy because when I was 18, I decided, hey, I want to learn how to sing. I'm 10 years in. I feel like I sing pretty well. Like, not great. I'm not like a superstar, but I feel like I sound nice when I sing. I didn't feel that way before. Um, and like, I did want to pursue a music career to some degree, like to at least be singing in public, like doing performances or like just releasing music. Maybe not even vocal music, and I have been doing that. I have like 3 years or so. Yeah, 3 years or so of just like making electronic music that nobody listens to and nobody likes. And the feedback that I get is, why don't you make music people want to listen to? Because I like odd time signatures. I don't like even numbers. And and I don't like steady patterns for too long. Like, kill me for it, please, actually, because apparently it's a problem to everybody. And I don't want to be treated like a child for my whole life, because I don't want to do the speech thing, but that's the only way people know how to speak to me, to try to get me to understand what they're saying in, a placement, word placement. I don't. No, thank you. Literally, it's like stabbing knives into my brain. I'm lobotomizing myself. For what? For people to have this fake acceptance of me? Like, genuinely, it's so dumb. Like, people treat me like shit, and then they swear they don't. It's like, I read all of your facial movements. I read all of your body language. I know that you I know that you don't like me. See, look, I'm not even this shit pisses me off. Why is she listening to me as if I'm talking about her? I'm really not. But she's emotionally reacting as if I am when I'm having a conversation about someone else. I don't do that. But other people around her life do. So, genuinely, it's torture. It's inhumane. Well, I don't even want to say inhumane. It's perfectly, exactly humane. But it's fucked up. And if you want to say I'm fucked up, I agree I'm fucked up. But my dog doesn't judge me like that. My dogs don't judge me that well. I live in a house with other people, but the dog that I raised by myself doesn't do that. And she doesn't listen to anybody if they do that. She's like me. Like, the more you do it, the more she's like, you gotta be extra nice to her, or she'll snap on you. Even if you're extra nice to her, she might snap on you if you rub her the wrong way. And I love it, because that's independence, that's freedom, that's free will, that's independent thought. So, I have another dog that's chewing on a squeaky toy right now at 1:30 in the morning, probably following my example. And I know which dog it probably is. Because I turned on my lights in my room, and now I'm talking, so that means I'm up. And that guy likes to copy what I do. So I have stopped myself at thinking about the concepts of the technologies that I could develop. I posted theories about them online before I was just like, I'm done. That was earlier this year, around summer. Well, a little bit earlier, like spring, late spring, early summer. And genuinely, some of the concepts and stuff that I said there and suggestions were taken by society, in my opinion. I have seen some implementations of some of the stuff that I was talking about. Although I do question how much of this is on a time schedule, um, from like governments and technology and whatnot, things that they hide, information that they hide for when they see it's fit for society to accept, like the new thing and like the new phase of the theater or whatever. Um, but I'm like, who's running all of it? I don't know. I genuinely don't believe it's like the leaders of the countries. I really don't. Um, I do see them more as figureheads, and I see the whole system more like functioning as like independent units, united by this language thing. But at the end of the day, nobody's making the technology, or at least it just seems to be a little too steady for me. In my opinion, it looks suspicious. It looks like it's just there to calm people down. But in reality, no advancements are really gonna help, because none of them are addressing, in my opinion, the root of the problem. But yeah, so I'm like stopped short of actually doing the work. Like I just had AI compile books and books, and like it was a lot of work. I know when people think like, oh, AI is slop, kind of, but not really. Like it's if I can tell AI to do something, like to make a product, like an app, for example, AI is gonna do it, and it makes the app, and the app works, right? So AI is not slop because it can do pretty well and better than what a human can do. And so if I'm sitting there talking about theories with a thing that is extensively trained on like all of knowledge from K through PhD, um, and the whole time I'm reading everything too, and I'm like, yes, I agree with that, or no, I don't, or no, I didn't say that, like, no, that's too vague, no, that's not what I meant, like, blah blah blah, like, so, and like each book, like it's hours and hours and hours of work, like it's months, weeks and months, and probably like 8 to like 18-hour days. Like literally there were days when I just like woke up, worked on all the math and science the whole day, and then went to sleep like at night. And so I woke up in the morning, went to sleep at night, and I just like got up to eat, use the restroom, shower, like interact with my dogs for a little bit, but that's it. um Yet I'm an idiot, and that's not my work, and it's not real, it's just AI slop, but whatever. And so I made apps using the mathematical theories, just to test if they were more efficient at doing the calculations the way that, with my math, the math that I had written. And yeah, I was able to make some more efficient applications, um, telling it, but it's like, I'm familiar with the math on hardware, and I'm familiar with some of the errors that come up because of the hardware, math problem with like electrons and stuff. But like even the logic gates, I have problems with them. I wrote formulas on why the logic gates are insufficient and incorrect. I made four-dimensional ones, which it's already stuff that other people have done and are doing and are working on, but it's not things that I look into, um, per se. Like I'm not gonna, well, I guess I have, so I can't say that. But it's like I'm not on the level where I could like engineer any of this, but I'm not even gonna give it more thought than the conceptual frameworks that I already laid out, because in my opinion my frameworks are already better than the ones that are current. And like I could write a whole nother field of math that is more unified than all of the fields of math currently, and just give it different like symbols and script that is more intelligible in my opinion, and it does work better. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit there and give the world that, much less all the tangible, like actual, like medical equipment, like medical supplies, medicine that, that I've thought about. And I'm like, I know I'm very specifically thinking about stuff that I know would work, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to even research it. That it's gone that far that I'm don't even think about. I already know where it is in my brain. I already know what, like, it accidentally connects the information when I'm out in the world, and I have to force myself to not think about it, because they don't deserve my work. They don't deserve the fruits of my labor, because they're not going to utilize it. They're just going to, it's going to be trash to them. They're not going to get the full meaning. They're not going to get the full thing of me. And that's all I want to give is take what I have to give you, or I'm not going to give it to you. If you're going to say just leave it and we'll get what we want, that's not how it works. I don't believe God put me in this position to do that. Quite the opposite. To be like, I will give to you, but you have to use all of it. And it's the case that people won't use all of it. So, that makes me evil in my mind, but I'm okay with that, because the evils that everybody else does are worse. So, hi. Here, I can't pet you if you're down there. I want to chat with you, okay? So, I'm trying to just focus on myself now. It's kind of hard. I'm living off of other people at the moment. Feels like shit. But realistically, I can't support myself right now. I can't contribute anything to anybody, and if it's the case that I'm gonna have to support myself, it's not gonna happen. Like I'd first check myself in somewhere. No, I'd first no, I don't know what I'd do. Genuinely, my brain does not want to process there. Nope, nope, nope. So I'm like hoping that I can either hang on longer or my mind's gonna change, but I highly doubt my mind's gonna change. So I've been trying like to be more musical, just to like let it out, let out the emotions and stuff, but all I can think about is the math and the science, and it's torture to not explore those things. It's been many, many months that I have not, and it hurts me. It hurts me that I have not been paying attention to science and math. Not math in particular, more science. I have been paying a little bit attention to math a little bit, but just like very basic algebra, and it's not fun. So I don't want to learn anything. I don't want to study a textbook because most of the information in the textbooks is useless trash. Most of the fields I think I could rewrite, like the science fields, especially what's coming up right now is like psychology, neurology. Um, that's a new development though. I mean, I was kind of just basing it on muscles for a while, but I'm like, well, it has to go deeper, but I don't want to give any of that information, so I don't even want to explore it. And yeah, it sucks that I've been feeling like shit and like I'm a bad person for a while now as a result of trying to pay attention to the language. But it's literally just conditioning and it's dumb. Like the problem is that people will treat you as if they know for sure why, like what something implies, when in reality they have not a single clue. And there's no way for them to actually know what anything indicates, at least the words. They believe that if you can place the words consistently, that you're a good person or that like you're like intelligent, either or. Because I know, like, yeah, if you're not intelligent, you could also be a bad person, but you could also be a good person and not be intelligent. So I see that apparently I'm all of them and none of them. Um, cause like things get brought up in conversation, and if a lot of people are telling you the same thing, it's like it should indicate like that's a mirror, like you're not looking at that part of yourself that everybody's trying to point out. But when there's no consistency in all of it, and the only consistency is like the narrative of society, like different themes, different like how many celebrities had this type of scandal, how many like governments have been in wars with so many countries, and then how many leaders have met and had a conversation about a specific topic. It's like it's just themes. So I'm just like, yeah, it's a theater. But that also means that there better be zero deaths. There better be no actual fighting and like killing and hurting people and like famine and stuff like that. But I highly doubt that's the case, because there are homeless people. I've gone out of the country. There are homeless people there too. Like, people suffer from like neglect and abuse, both from their own ranks and from above, like the governments and stuff. So I don't know how they're okay with calling it a theater. Like when you look at the military and they call it the theater of operations. I genuinely don't know, because I don't hear and I'm not keeping track of everything. So like it could be fake, and I'll like take it as just as real as if it was real and serious. But then again, the whole thing is like, if you say it, like if you communicate it how I'm trying to communicate it, and there's an evil person that literally would just use the system to like take advantage, well then I just gave them a weapon, right? So I understand the need for like this kind of stuff, but there has to be some type of middle ground. There has to be some type of like, you don't have to force everybody to be like this. And I don't know, I don't even feel like, maybe the closest thing that I would do in my immediate future is to come up with like studies that prove certain things, are happening in the brain when certain thought processes are happening, and basically to line that up with diseases. And yeah, that's my only option at this point, to be like, hey, here is direct evidence that what you're doing is wrong. And for me to do that takes a lot of effort, and I don't want to do that, because that's the most least important aspect of anything that I want to do. But if it precedes the rest, I guess I would do it. So yeah, I'm just like, because I'm not like, my other option is to make something that other people can't use if they do this, which is like some convoluted, but it's the same approach. It's like, I would just find out what diseases, what type of stuff, and then not say anything about it, and then put it there. Put the only information that I want in the things that people avoid. That way, only people who don't avoid the speech thing will get what I'm saying, because they have no, like, what do you call it? And I'm not even saying, but like just things that I do and like everything. Because they don't have that inherent rejection to literally just words being placed in the wrong syllables. So it's like, or the perceivingly wrong, or whatever the categories that they have. Genuinely, I think this video is going to get taken down because I said those things. And I don't know, I hate censorship, but I'm not, like, I get it. Like, I've never been about respect, but I'm like, be respectful. People don't, nobody is owed respect, but like, you should be respectful. But my whole life I've seen very disrespectful people get treated with more leniency than me. And when I get treated with leniency, I'm like, no, don't treat me with leniency. Like, what the fuck? Why are you, like, if other people are seeing that you are treating me with leniency, that's going to upset them. So don't treat me with leniency. There's nothing inherently better about me that, like, requires that. So, I don't understand why certain people, historically, like in my life, I just don't understand that. But like now I do. It's because they're placing the syllables in the right place, and they're, like, copying. And that is what is valuable at the end of the day to people, because that's their path to redemption. That's their path to, like, emotionally controlling themselves, and like just not being a bad person all around. I do kind of see that, but more than anything, I just see it as you're docile. You're docile because you can't anything else. That's like the only thing that you got control of, and that's what you wanted for your life, and everybody agrees on that. But just because everybody agrees on the same evils doesn't mean that those evils are good. And just because everybody agrees that the same evils should be hidden, because, there's just some understanding that I don't have. I don't know. Y'all can waste away. I, like, also think about the burn. Like, I'm a nurse. I heal people for a living. I chose a path where people get sick, and I'm there to help them. And before that, I was working with kids. I was like in the community my whole life, and now I hate everybody for one simple thing, But that one simple thing, I guess, is maybe like the most important thing in people's lives, yet it causes all the problems or whatever. Everybody's tired of hearing that. I'm not going to prove it. The evidence is lacking. I do see genuine research that points to that. But anybody who gets too close to that, all of a sudden there's no more scientific research on that. All of a sudden there's no papers on a very specific topic that is insinuated by a lot of scientific research. And it's because, well, nothing in life is free, I guess. And there's just already been a decision made for everybody. Whether they have the ability to see that or not, it's still happening. And I'm saying I'm the only one who sees it. Genuinely, I don't think I'm the only one who sees it, but I do think that the people who see it believe that, you know, the ends justify the means, which I don't think that, but I do think that everybody should believe that for themselves, not for the world, but for themselves. Like, your ends should justify your means. I believe that for myself. And not because I don't have an option. Well, kind of because I don't have an option, but it just makes sense that way. More than thinking that, like, I don't know, just being delusional, I guess, and like being lost in my own mind. I would much rather pay attention to the physical environment and be loyal to it, which has been completely loyal to me my whole life, unlike humans. And it's contradictory because humans have taken care of me, but again, that's just part of the system. So it's like, if there's like these 10 commandments and you're doing all 10 because you genuinely believe in all 10 of those commandments, and like you would feel like a bad person if you didn't do those 10 things. Wait, is the 10 commandments is what you're not supposed to do. But what I mean is like commandments as in like what you should do, what you're like, right? What? Right? The commandments are things are rules. They're rules, right? Not things you should or shouldn't do, but both rules. So, I cannot myself subscribe to them, but I can understand if people do. And I don't agree with all the things that everybody says are right, but I would much rather have somebody stick to their beliefs than to just be acting erratically. And I don't believe that I'm acting erratically because the information makes sense in my head. I've tried to explain it to everybody, but everyone's like, you just don't make sense. And again, I said that earlier, so I'm not going to say it again, but side note, I got this Bop It, and it's so cool. I'm not going to do the sound because it's really loud, but like you pull the head or you twist it and you bop the belly right here. Sorry, just got distracted. So yeah, I'm feeling really disappointed. And people just talk shit everywhere I go. And genuinely, like, probably best case scenario is I'm part of the old world and our society has committed to going deeper and further into this way of speech. And I'm just going to be left behind, literally not understanding anybody. Like, nothing that anybody says is going to make sense to me. But at the same time, I do understand that most of that information is useless, if not all of it. personally for me. It serves no use for anything that I want in life. So it doesn't make me feel too bad. But that would be the worst case scenario. A better case scenario would be that it just takes time. But from what I've seen with like people and whatnot, I guess maybe I would be a little bit of an anomaly. Maybe, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Because like, I'm just thinking like, Rihanna's like me. Who else is like me? Like, just random people on the street. Like, people that get made fun of on the internet. That's not a lot of people. And it's crazy because I hear people on the internet like complaining and like saying stuff, like talking shit, where I feel like they're on my side. But then I go talk to them and then they talk shit to me and I'm like, hold up, I thought we were on the same side. Like genuine, like, I don't know. Then I'm just like, are there just trolls everywhere? Like I was at Best Buy and there was this lady complaining she was at returns and like her transaction was complete. Or completing. Like I saw everything go down. Like the girl's like, the card went in for the refund. Like um, the receipt was like about to be printed. Like they have long receipts at Best Buy, so it was like she was talking, and then like the receipt printed, and like you could tell the girl was like not even making eye contact. She was just like, "Oh my god, get the fuck out of my face!" Like she just looked over it, and so I interrupted the lady because she was complaining about AI and how like it pops up and there's like, and it starts telling you things and blah blah blah, and I'm just like, excuse me, ma'am, I think those are on all the phones now. I don't think you have an option. And then she said like, she said something, but it completely didn't even address anything that I had said. And I just like looked back, like as if she was talking to someone else, not me. And then she said, "Oh, you only got that one?" And I like look up and I'm just like, the fuck are you talking about? And then she turned around and left. And I was like, as you should. But then when I went up to the cash register, I was like, sorry, it just seemed like she was bothering you. And then she's like, oh no, it's fine. I think she just had an older one. I was like, because then she's like an older iPad, like this generation, blah blah blah. And I was just like, so that like that was not my reaction. My reaction was like, oh yeah, it's like I have an older iPhone, like 10. Like it's not on my phone, but I know like on all the newer ones it is. And then she's like, oh yeah. And then she like started talking about like, oh, which one do you have? Do you have the and like she started adding to the conversation. I'm just like, it's nice of you. It's nice of you to like continue the conversation, but like literally I just wanted her to shut up and you're making a conversation about it now, so kind of want you to shut up too. And so I stopped responding to her too. I just made it about what I was there to return. I was like, oh, so this thing, right? And then she went to go talk to the manager. She's like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to the manager, like see if they'll make an exception, blah blah blah. Because I like, apparently they changed the return policy for from 30 days to 15 days, like 5 years ago. And I was just laughing because I'm like, it's been the same my entire life, but now it's different. Okay. I was like, when did they change it? She's like 5 years ago. I was like, yeah, makes sense. Like I haven't really been buying from Best Buy in the last 5 years. But yeah, I'm just like, what? It's just annoying. It's just annoying that like that I didn't even do a good example for that one because there was a lot of subtleties with the body language on that girl. But now I'm just thinking maybe she was more in a bad mood that day or something. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just judging too harshly. But when I was walking out the store, the security was talking to the other security guard, and she's like, yeah, you just like something something, and then it feels like flying, and then they both started laughing, and I'm just like, that was when I was like, okay, God is not talking to me. These people are just idiots. I did continue to believe that God was talking to me for a while after that, but the only reason why I even accepted that possibility was because people have given me equations, um, unprompted. They've given me equations that were actually something I was thinking about. Um, like literally a homeless man. Like I was thinking about electricity and like how fast a body can move, like how fast like an electrical impulse would possibly like make a person's muscles like jolt and whatever. Um and a homeless dude literally came up to me in the middle of the night. It was like yeah, like cuz I used to run every day with Emmy in the morning and at night. And so one of the nights this homeless man approached me and he started telling me a story about when he was a kid that like not when he was a kid, sorry, when he was younger. He didn't say he was a kid, but he said that he like put a fork in an outlet and that like it shot him back a couple feet. And I was like, really? That actually happened? He's like, yeah, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, wow, God does come through. And like another time, um, I was like talking to my friend about an old friend from like middle school and I guess high school, middle school to high school, um, and and he like wrote down an equation, um, because I was telling him like, oh, I wrote an equation about like math and like I've kind of like because I knew what it tied into, but I was just like, but genuine like at that time I was like, but I like the only reason why I didn't even want to continue with that was because I was convinced like something about superpowers like God had to do to make superpowers real, like in some type of way. Like I was just convinced like it has to be real. So I was like mathematically trying to figure it out, like what properties, because I'm also studying physics. I'm like, what properties could technically be like kind of affected by our brains? What physical properties other than movement, like other than like our muscles twitching, or if it's just a simple muscle twitch, like an enhanced muscle twitch or something. Or like, could we create different structures, cellular structures in our bodies just with our brains, just by thinking about it? And I do believe that. But at the time, I was just like, I'm just really upset, like because like so far the only thing that's ever happened is like technology glitches around me sometimes. Um, like the AI unprompted like turns on like the not the AI, the like Siri or um like the the phone assistants. Um and I'll be talking about stuff and then they just turn on when I talk about like time travel or when I talk about like very specific topics, and I'm like, it's been happening consistently throughout my life. Um and then when I was talking to this friend, I was like, I swear, like every single time that I talk about these topics, like some form of electronic malfunctions. And then right when I said that, I was like, it's gonna happen while we're hanging out. And the light turned off like with like we were parked, and then off to the left the light turned off, and I was just, it's like that, like it gets me nothing else. Like I wanted the light to turn green, and it turned green. Um, but people will just say that I'm delusional about that. But I was telling him, I was like, but there's been so many times in my life that I almost died, and I didn't die, and I didn't tell anybody about them. So now it just seems like I'm making them up. But I'm like, but I just didn't care. Um, and I'm like, so now I'm just like feeling kind of insane. Like people are kind of telling me that I'm like, or not telling me, but they're just like kind of looking at me weird. And I'm like, I swear it should be superpowers, but whatever. And then he like wrote down this equation. I was like, cause I wrote down this equation, and like it makes sense to me, but I keep trying to explain it to people and it doesn't make sense to them. I was like, I already talked. I think at that point I had already talked to the only mathematician I know who's a statistician, and I'm like, well, wrong field. But she didn't really give me any feedback on it, so I was like, I'm just at a loss. And then he wrote down an equation. He's like, that's how I view things. I'm like, that's actually really close to the equation that I wrote, and I hadn't even told him the equation. And I was like, God is God is sending me, messengers and blah blah. So like for a while I was like allowing myself to think and have thoughts in public, and allow myself to think that God was responding to those thoughts. But that caused a level of psychosis that I'm not proud of. Um, because at the end of the day, that was just however I was feeling in the moment. Like if I felt like it was a positive thing or a negative thing, that's how I would react. And I understand that that's how people are telling me to look at the language, but I'm like, no, because at the end of the day, those emotions are actually giving me other information that people don't want to accept. And I'm like, it's informed by my background, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed of whatever people hear, because whatever they hear, yeah, it's back there. Like, doesn't mean I'm going to do anything with what you think it implies, but I'm definitely going to do something with it, if not just talk about it. And if that simply makes people uncomfortable, then why does talking make people uncomfortable? Like, I guess it would be like me just like throwing up all my emotions on them, which is like, that's not what I'm doing though. Like, I am right now, but um, like in terms of information and like math and science, like the more that I try to think in their structured way, the less that I can see in my own perspective. So I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I want to go back to the movies. I want to go back to visualizing everything in my head and having a world inside. Because I was like, the other day I was counting the main streets. I don't know how many miles I am from the ocean, but I was counting all of this. I was naming all of the streets between where I am right now physically and the ocean, all the main streets. And I was able to. And I'm like, I know I've been here my whole life, but I put no effort into that. And I think that's quite amazing. I don't know if people know that many streets. And I'm like, it's just because I had to drive down them. And it's so annoying that I know all of the names, but like it's useless information for the most part. How is that going to help society? I don't know. Me knowing all the street names. But like it's been like that kind of my whole life. Like I know where the streets are. I know where those cities are. I know how far the distance is because I see it in my head. But that's not what people want to do. People want to put words and syllables in where they could literally be using so many other things. Brain dead. They're actually all brain dead. Um, and so yeah, I just like the best case scenario, I guess, for me would be I just start doing some work to dispel the misunderstandings that people aren't seeing, and then hope that in like 3 generations, um so like I'm millennial, and then there's like Gen Z. I don't even know Gen. I forget them. It's not on my mind right now. But you know what I mean, like the 90s, and then like the 2000s, and then like the 2010s, and then the 2020s. So like one of those 10-year marks, whatever. Um, so basically 30 years. So 30 years from now, when I'm 60, hopefully then, those kids will have received a portion of what I'm trying to give. Then I have to live my whole life in this world, in this reality, and work and do for people I disagree with. I don't want to. So that's the best case scenario for everybody, I think. I don't want to do that. I genuinely don't. So I hope that my perspective changes. I hope that I see I can forgive. I hope that I can forgive, because right now I feel like I'm in a state of not forgiving, and I'm perfectly okay with that, because if I forgave, then the things that are making me not want to forgive would effectively like make somebody else's life worse. And I don't want that. I can't. I've always said that if me putting myself out there helps one person, it's worth it. And that person isn't me, like just somebody else, just not me. It's worth it. If it could help me and someone else, that would be great. But yeah, currently I feel like nothing that I do would be, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's gonna be the same thing every time. If you watched my last video, it was pretty much the same thing as this video. So, however many times I have to say this, I'll say it, I guess. I don't know. Genuinely, like, I'm not even thinking about what's gonna happen tomorrow. Like, I'm back to that. It's a horrible way to live. I don't like the feeling of not planning, not like having goals. But like, I wrote down 3 things that I wanted to do today, and I did none of them. Or yesterday, I guess. But I could try again today. This is getting depressing, even for me, and I'm the one talking. How does that make sense? You shouldn't be depressed if you're the one talking. That doesn't make sense. And you see, I'm getting more tired, and my brain is trying to just, the last thing that it's trying to do to make sense is like put it in the right spot. Put it in the right, like, oh wait, wrong spot. No, you need to fix that. Those are what's happening as my brain is turning off. That is the least amount of effort that I can use in my brain, is placing things somewhere. That's how bad it is. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't. Like, I just think about in history how many bright, great minds like mine that just decided, fuck them. I'm not gonna do shit. I'm not gonna do shit. And like, it doesn't even have to be like you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know. Like, how could you know if this seed was gonna turn into some beautiful plant if you put a cast on that seed and made it turn into something. Like, that doesn't make sense. No innovation is going to come from the system if the system is just replicating itself. That makes the most sense to me. If the system is just replicating itself, how is anything gonna progress? Like, it's just gonna keep going in the same direction. That's not okay for me. That's okay for everybody else, but that's not okay for me. I'm like, if you want to keep going in the same direction, keep getting more diseases, more illnesses, more of all that stuff, unless it's proven that if you do the thought thing, like, then you get less diseases. But I don't. That's not what I see. That's not what I see at all, because I've never even been considering that. Like, if you do it or if you don't. But that's how people have been seeing me, like, if I do it or if I don't. All I've been seeing is, you lied to me, and also your body looks like it's in pain, and also all of these diseases look like they're coming from the same problems, like the same thing is causing all of these problems. That's all I see. So it's a big fat fuck you to everybody. Man, like, genuinely, I'm like, the only thing that I would consider doing at this point is like Neuralink. But then no, because like I would want to help like people without limbs and people with mobility issues. I think those are the first. And well, no, the second, because pain. People with painful diseases and disorders and stuff like that. I would want to help them first. But if I help them, automatically people who don't deserve it are going to get it. Like, medicine helps people who need it more than people who don't need it first, right? Like, but it's not gonna be that great, like medical trials. But like, oh, I didn't even finish my last point. What if there was somebody that was going to come up with something that, like, they just had a perspective, that they understood something, and then they just decided not to even go down that route ever? Like, it wasn't, the ideas never even came close in their head to make that discovery because it was stifled. I don't believe I'm in that situation, but it could be. I mean, how I feel is like, if I didn't have so much strength, like endurance, to just keep dealing with this bullshit, then yeah, I'd give up and just be a different person. Like, but I do see, like, in other people's lives, like, they lose drive, like, they lose that trying to be like some great thing, and they're just like complacent in their life. And that's encouraged. It's sad to me. I understand not everybody can be great, but if the bar is so low that like it trips people, I don't know, I guess maybe deserved as a society. So when people talk about God, and like they talk about like different religions and like what God does and blah blah blah, I'm like, those are all lies. Those are all man-made. What God does is what everybody denies, because God had to make the evil things too. You can't just pretend that evil things don't serve any function to God, and you can't pretend that evil things are only exist to like be exterminated in the form that a human limited consciousness can understand. Because I question, like, why is there suffering? Why is there, like, unnecessary evils? Like, why are people starving? Why are people so grossly overweight? God gave us, as a humanity, the right to make those decisions. So that tells me God doesn't actually care entirely about how I feel. God cares more about truth. So I don't know. Like, I'm willing to be wrong just to get on to do what I would enjoy. But I don't think that's the case. I would love to be wrong, and then just to be able to look back and be like, I was so stupid. Like, look at me, so naive. But like, no, I actually think it's the opposite. It's like, damn, you really did have to put up with all of that. And you were right. And everybody else was wrong. You have such a nice smile. You don't know how much pain is behind that smile. I only smile because it makes me feel good. It like actually changes my emotion to smile. Cause if I'm not smiling right now, I'm actually pissed. But it's not gonna help if I'm more pissed. People are gonna ignore me more if I'm more pissed. But if being pissed exposes reality to me and gives me information, I'll be pissed. I'll get more pissed. And I'm willing to do either. And I understand that that's also why people like look at me like, oh my god, like this dude's insane. Like, yeah, I'm insane. But then again, I see people like, don't fuck with me, I'm crazy. And I'm just like, if you have to proclaim it that you're crazy, yeah, you probably are crazy, but like, not in a good way. I'm saying I'm crazy in a good way. But if I have to proclaim it, but I'm not like threatening anybody. That's the thing. I'm just saying I'm crazy. Like, I'm defending myself. I'm not like trying to give anybody a warning or anything. I'm just like, no. Literally, if that's the definition of crazy, yeah, I'm crazy. But yeah, cuz I'm just like, even on like the DSM, with anything that, crazy would fall under like an actual psychological term, like in the practice of psychology, like shit that people get diagnosed with. I don't even agree with all of them because it's based on psychiatry. It's based on how chemicals interact in the brain. Like, that's literally the basis of psychiatry. That's the basis of the DSM. It's for diagnosing, it's for medication, it's for like therapies. And not to say that there's no truth behind it, but I'm like, if the system that underpins all of this kind of unifies it very clearly when you look at it over time, I'm not going to trust it all the way. So I'm like, yeah, just based on my outlook, based on whatever it is that I want to, however I want to be, that's the diagnosis I'm going to get. I'm like, if I read up on anything enough, I could just put my mindset there and then get diagnosed with it. Yeah, that actually is the case. Like, of course, some things you can't, like, I wouldn't be able to fake multiple personality disorder, obviously. But then again, I'm just like, is that even real? Because I've also seen like family members that like make up story, like they're not really, they're a little cuckoo. They're not in this reality. Like, they're not fully cognizant of their environment. Like, they can't take care of themselves. Like, they're intellectually disabled in some type of way. But their families will allow them to speak as if somebody else existed just because they keep placing them in the same of the 4 syllables as a story. And I'm like, That's not an illness, but I've seen it, and it does happen often. But that's not an illness in the DSM. That's exempt, because that means you get the other thing. And so either you're just going to get called a liar, or maybe schizophrenic, maybe if the family has enough trouble with it that they need to go to a psychologist and get the diagnosis and like maybe medication. But then there's emotional issues involved, and again, this whole thing is just, the language thing is an emotional control system for the most part. So I'm like, so if you're causing all the problems, that's why you overlook them. That makes sense. Because then you start looking at the themes. Like, yes, there are some biological things about humans that we're just like, we want to consume certain topics and ideas and like just be involved with certain things, right? And it's like, that also gets taken advantage of, but people don't, like, if there's a motivation for you, that's going to stay in your mind, and it's going to be like, it's a literal like imprint on your mind. Yes, you can unlearn things. Yes, you can like take meaning away from things and repurpose, repurpose meaning for different like experiences and stuff like that. So I don't even know if I said experiences already in that sentence, but I lost my train of thought. There's, okay, I totally lost my train of thought. I'm getting tired. I'm getting sleepy. I don't want to end this because I feel like there's still a little bit more I need to say. But so I don't know. I just see that it's a mess, and I know that I'm not observing the world how everybody, or the majority maybe. I can't even say that. Okay, anyway. I was saying something. I don't know. I'm really getting sleepy. That there's hardly any hope for me at this moment. And I don't regret anything that I've said. I think if anybody has a problem with anything that I say, they're literal trash and they're not worth my time. Though I will say that that does not take away from the emotional conditioning and how I react. But still, I do think they're not worth my time if they're trying to educate me on how to be stupid. I'm gonna go check on my dogs. Multiple dogs are up right now, probably because I'm talking and talking and talking. So, yeah, best believe I'll be back saying the exact same thing. Goodbye.